Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. Peace be to the brethren, and love with faith, from God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace be with all them that love our Lord Jesus Christ in sincerity. Amen.
We're having some issues. Good morning. How is everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Oh boy. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Get up those stairs. Get up those stairs. Sorry about that. My dog decided he wanted to come downstairs and play. No bueno. How is everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Guess what? I have a guest. Why are we like so draggy? We are seriously dragging. Seriously dragging. Oh my goodness gracious. Not quite sure what's going on. Okay. Yep, we are. I don't know. I haven't even done anything yet. Yeah, it's been like, woo. All right, let's just say, Lord, thank you for this broadcast. We think that you are going to have your way. We thank you for everything that you are doing. We thank you for this time. It is very laggy. Maybe I should. Hey, AF, why don't you go ahead and play why don't you play a song? Let me just see if we can refresh and see if we can get this back on track. Yeah, usual shenanigans. The shenanigans are happening. Just saying. So if we can go ahead and let's just play something. And if we can do that, that would be just fantastic. Can we do that? I'm going to see if I can just kind of reboot. I don't know. Is it working? I can't tell. Is it? We have gremlins. Okay. Well, let me see. Is AF going to do that? Alrighty. Okay. Let me just say good morning really quick, and let's just bring in my guest. Boom. Steve Rizzo. Hello, Steve Rizzo.
Hello, Lisa Perna. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We're going to go ahead and we're going to say hello to the chat. So you got to say hello too. So we have Shelly is in the house. There she is. Hello, Shelly.
Hey, Shelly.
Okay, we have Gizmo's mom, Teresa, which she's from Long Island.
Good for her.
Yeah. So when I say hello to Teresa, I go, hello, Teresa.
How are you? So I said,
how are you? So nice to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Teresa. Okay, good morning. We have Robin in the house. We have Swim Robin. There she is. We have Paige Robinson. She's from, Paige Robinson? She is from Nashville. And I'm wearing her Alba Java shirt today because I was thinking of her. So there we go. Stephanie, she's also from Long Island. Just saying. She's a Long Island girl. Good morning, Riley Queen. Good morning.
Riley Queen, I like that. Riley
Isn't that
Queen.
cute? That's AF's mom.
And thank you all for acknowledging me. It's just so many people saying, "Hey, Steve. Hi, Steve."
See?
That's so nice.
See, good morning. Good morning, Uncle Larry. Linda Jones is in the house. Good morning. There's Faith Gal. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. There's Stacks. Good morning, Stacks. Yep, we're ready. Preach his kid. Cash, go lay down. That's Cash. Yes, naughty Cash. That's what we call him. Naughty Cash. The usual shenanigans. But hopefully we're going to be good. Lazarus James is in the house. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I think we're better. I don't know what the heck happened. Good morning, Derek Lynn. There you go. Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve. There
Hey,
you
Shell.
go. Hey, Steve.
Hey,
Okay,
Shell.
bring on the Abba Java. There we go. So make sure that you guys are sharing. Make sure that you're sharing. Sharing is caring. There you go. Hello, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Good to
So,
be here.
and so this is the first thing that we're gonna do. So I'm gonna do a couple of things for you because we are here to talk about your book. Hold on one second. I gotta do something, Steve. Hold on. There we go. We gotta talk about conversations with Bob. This is your book. Here we go. This
Yep.
is your book. This is your book.
Book
This
that
is
took me
your
over
book.
7 years to write.
Well, that's okay. Sometimes good things have to, sometimes
Yep.
you need a little something something to get stuff done. Just saying. Good morning, Crambone. But I'm gonna say this, that not only does he have a book, but he also has a video. Watch this.
Hey, you want in on a little secret? No, it's not Victoria's secret, so calm down. Actually, Victoria really doesn't even have a secret. Have you ever seen the merchandise in that store? It's obvious to me that the secret is pretty much revealed. Here's the secret. Happiness is a choice. As I always say, making happiness as a choice is what life is all about, and it's the best way to stay motivated and inspired throughout the day. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. Okay, Steve, if happiness is a choice, then why are so many people feeling crappy instead of happy? Huh? Why are so many people going through life feeling unfulfilled? Well, the answer is that most people either don't believe that happiness is a choice or they can't understand its meaning. Happiness isn't one choice, like deciding which presidential candidate will make you less miserable. Try thinking of happiness as a lifetime of small moment-to-moment choices. On any given day, there are a number of reasons or excuses that I can use to justify being unhappy. I mean, it could be work-related, time constraints, someone else's bad mood, health issues, financial issues, family issues. And by the way, if you knew my family, you would definitely understand. The key, however, is that I know that I'm responsible for my state of mind. I'm totally aware of what happens to me when I begin to lose control. Allowing these outside forces or circumstances to determine my happiness can quickly send me into a downward spiral. And the same goes for you. Whatever it is that has the potential to keep you from enjoying the day and the success that you desire, understand that it's not the situation in and of itself that's causing you to be unhappy or to feel unsuccessful. It's really the thoughts that you have about the situation. It's what you choose to focus on over a period of time that fuels your emotions and defines your reality. Now, I got to tell you, I find it absolutely amazing that the same incident can be experienced in different ways by different people. I mean, there are those who view life's little mishaps as a catastrophe, like it's the end of the world, while others find the humor in it and they laugh it off. I mean, that's not to say that you're wrong to get upset when your car doesn't start, you're going to be late for work. I get that. That's natural. But you're doing yourself a grave disservice if you allow the bad mood to continue. If you're not vigilant, one bad mood can avalanche out of control and ruin what could otherwise be an enjoyable and productive day. My point is this. Rather than dwell on negativity, why not choose to shift your focus on what's working in your life rather than fixating on what isn't working? Why not bless the things that life has given you rather than cursing what life is currently throwing at you? And use your time and energy finding solutions to your problems rather than wallowing in them. If you do, you're going to be experiencing a happier, healthier reality for yourself. Either way, the outcome is based on choices. And that's the word, according to Bob.
Ooh. Hold on a second.
Not again.
I gotta say that was a pretty impressive video. I mean, you must know somebody who is so talented to be
Well,
able to put such a complex video with that light and the incredible visuals. I mean, it was that was man, that was like
well,
a Leonardo DiPrentice like video. I'm just saying.
I had an incredible director, producer, the guy that helped me so much with this, and his name is Rob Perner. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Your incredible husband, who has become such a dear friend. We have known each other for over 40 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you, me, and Rob, and he just did a scrupulous job. And we did 12 of these. We have 12 Word According to Bob's. They're all on my YouTube channel, and we send them out as marketing pieces to promote the book. But
Yep.
he did such a scrupulous job. And plus, you were there when we were doing some of it. We had a blast doing it, and we had so much fun. Yeah.
Yes. So you guys get to see just a little bit. I mean, I was really hamming it up because it is, but Rob really did a beautiful job, and I'm really praying that we take his theatrical excellence and we get to do something, because I love those videos. I love that they're short. I love that they're concise. I love that they have a message. So I might be stealing it. I'm just saying. I might be stealing it. maybe.
First, you're taking two of my sayings. Now you're taking this.
I know. Listen, I take your bits. I'm just saying. I already take your bits because
and you're allowed.
Because I have seen your stand up, and your stand up was always my favorite. I mean, it was just always so brilliant and so beautiful. And so we also have this one, which I think is going to be a beautiful segue into what we're going to talk about today, which is about finding your humor. Hold on one second.
One day in third grade, yours truly was performing in the play Alice in Wonderland. No, I'm not bragging, and no, I wasn't Alice. I was Humpty Dumpty, the egghead, the guy that fell off the wall and was really pissed off when he found out that he didn't have workers' comp. Anyway, it was opening night, and the auditorium was packed. I could see my mom and dad as I looked out from the wings of the stage. I have to tell you folks, that's a lot of pressure for a third grader. And the time for my scene came in the blink of an eye. And there I was, sitting on the wall in my A costume. Everything was going fine until my line. I'm one who has spoken to a king, I am. Well, I guess I said it with a little too much enthusiasm, because I lost my balance and I fell over on the backside of the wall. And all the audience could hear was a giant thud. Now, I didn't get hurt, not physically anyway. But I remember how humiliated I felt waiting behind that wall for the audience to realize that falling wasn't part of the act just yet. And all I could think of was that I messed up big time. I ruined the play. I was going to be the entire laughing stock of the entire school. And how, I wondered, was I ever going to face my parents? I wanted to run off the stage and hide, but I couldn't. I was frozen by fear. Crouching behind the wall, an egg with egg on his face. And as all of these negative thoughts are running through my mind, the teacher's running up the step and she screams out, "Stephen, are you okay?" And without missing a beat, I yelled out as loud as I could, Yeah, I'm all right, but I think I cracked my shell. I hope Alice doesn't mind scrambled eggs." To my young surprise, the entire audience exploded with laughter. Now, hearing the laughter, I slowly stuck my head above the wall to check out what was going on. And as soon as the audience saw my big egg head, The laughter turned into cheers, and everyone, and I mean everyone in that auditorium, including the cast, was standing and chanting, Humpty, Humpty. Now, because scrambled eggs just aren't as good without a little ham, I jumped up on top of the wall and I proceeded to take many exaggerated bows. The teacher was begging me to please sit down before I fell off the wall again, but I couldn't help myself. I was totally blown away by the reaction and the attention I was getting. Eventually, I sat down, the play continued, and what a huge success it was. That night, in 3rd grade, my humor being came to the rescue. Just by blurting out the first obvious joke that came to my mind, I went from a klutz to a hero. An emotional transformation took place. I went from the most humiliating experience in my young life to becoming the star of the show. Hey, I'm not exaggerating when I say star. When the play was over, I was actually signing autographs. Here's the takeaway. Sometimes in life, all you need is a couple of seconds to catch your second wind. Laughter, your humor being, gives you that couple of seconds over and over again. Now that's power. And that's the word, according to Bob.
I love that. There are so many things that I love about that story because do you know that finding your humor being is a very powerful weapon? It's a very powerful weapon.
Yep.
And as a go ahead.
It's one of the greatest gifts that God ever gave us. What good is a gift if you don't use it?
That's right.
And that's one of the things that Bob talks to Bernie about. By the way, folks, conversations with Bob. Bob is God. I can give that much of it away. But the point I'm making is that there's a chapter called "Humor Being to the Rescue," and Bob explains to Bernie that everyone on this planet is born with a humor being, and that your humor being is of your higher nature. It's a part of you that brings out the best in you, especially when times get tough. And he reminds Bernie that he doesn't use it enough throughout the course of his life, and that humor is the great bounce back factor.
Absolutely. And you were talking about how God gives it to us, but there are so many people that don't understand the power of our joy. Joy is a weapon. It is a weapon we get to use because I'm just going to read a couple verses. Okay. So it says in the New King James, for those who are Bible only listen to the New King James. New King James is like it's kind of like the King James, which a little bit more understanding. True people who are like real Bible thumpers, it's King James. They like the this and the thous and the those. But anyway, I prefer a different one. So we're going to start with the New King James, and it says, "He who sits in the heavens shall laugh; the Lord shall hold them in derision." Now, I happen to like the Passion Translation. The Passion Translation, it's somebody's interpretation, which of course all the Bibles have been interpreted, but this one has just more of an. It just is. It talks like me and you, okay? And it says, God enthroned merely laughs at them. The sovereign one mocks at their madness. Think about it. Now, if you think about it, when God laughs, he's not laughing at his children. He doesn't laugh at his children. You know what he laughs at? He laughs at that big mouth that is inside of our head. He looks at the enemy who is constantly trying to tell us that we're not good enough, that we're not capable of doing something, that you better just sit down and don't get back up, Steve, because they're going to all laugh at you. But there's something inside of you that rises up and says, no, I was created for this. I was created to be on stage. I was created to be seen. So although you might have had a little egg on your face, you were able to still stand up. Yep. And to be able to do what you needed to do. And that was to shine. Because guess what? As children of God, we are created to shine. We are supposed to be the bright and shining ones. But so many people, especially so many people who have very strong religion. Can I just tell you that did I ever tell you that God doesn't like religion? He does not like religion. Because what does religion do? If you look at the Pharisees, they were a bunch of religious people. and they were breaking the law more than the other people. Okay. But what religion does is it takes God and puts him into a box, and you can't box God in. And I think that that's part of the beauty of your journey with learning about God through someone and
Yeah.
through this story called Bob.
Well, and very well said. And God and Jesus are both very aware on the power of thought. And Jesus, if you read anything about Jesus himself, he tells you that what you think is what you get.
That's
The
right.
thoughts you have about any challenge in your life will ultimately determine the quality of success and happiness you're going to have in regards to that challenge. And which is why we were given the gift of laughter, because laughter nips negative thought patterns in the bud before emotional havoc blossoms.
Oh, that's
And
a good word. That's a
you can
really good
actually nip thoughts negative when you're starting to get emotionally distraught. And at some point, if you can find the humor in it, or at some point during the day, someone will say something that will make you laugh, and notice how much better you feel. It's like a replenishing. It's like the great bounce back factor. And
that's good.
that's why we're giving the gift. But again, as Bob says to Bernie, and this is just one of the lessons in the book, what good is a gift if you don't lose it? He tells Bernie, you get so caught up in the stuff of life that you're not aware that I gave you innate common sense strategies that can take you to a better place personally and professionally. And he tells Bernie, these strategies can actually place you at the helm so that you can steer the course of your life during the best of times and even the worst of times.
Absolutely. And it says that laughter is good medicine. Did you know
Yep.
that?
Yep.
Laughter is good medicine. And if we think about it, if we truly think about what laughter is, okay, so if laughter is something that God does, that means it came from God and we are created in his image. So if God can laugh at situations, then maybe
Yep.
we should, because he's seeing a situation from a different perspective. He laughs. And this was one of the things. So it says that the joy of the Lord is your strength. Okay, that's the scripture. It says the joy of the Lord is your strength. Well, what is joy? Joy is breaking free of fear. Joy is allowing the bubbling up of not just laughter, but of confidence that God is in this. And so what happens, what's really incredibly crazy sometimes, Steve, is sometimes when I'm praying for very serious situations, I start laughing. And it's not like that nervous laugh. You know how, like, when somebody falls and people laugh because they don't know how to comprehend it or process it, so they laugh because it makes them nervous. But what happens is sometimes when I'm praying for somebody, especially in healing, sometimes I start laughing. So I have prayed over people who had cancer, and all of a sudden I burst out laughing. And I have to apologize to them. And I have to say, listen, I'm not laughing at you or the severity of the situation. I am laughing because God is laughing, because this ain't no thing. This
Yeah.
ain't no thing to him. This
Yeah.
is, he's looking at what the enemy is trying to do, and he's laughing at it. He's mocking them and saying, are you kidding me? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? It's like
Yeah.
sometimes we have to remember that we take that pause and we start to laugh at our situations. It doesn't seem so big. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, you know how, like, they always show you, like, the bully of the school, right? Remember all those? We grew up in the 80s, right? We watched all those teenage angst movies with the bully in the school, and the bully is like constantly, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then all of a sudden, the one who gets picked on, he does something that makes fun of the bully, and everybody starts laughing at the bully. And what does that do? Makes the bully run.
Yep.
It makes the bully run. The bully no longer has power because fear and intimidation has been broken through with laughter. So now they can't take him seriously. They take his threats and be like, are you kidding me? And it's been in movie after movie after movie after movie where
Yeah.
it breaks that power of that bully through laughter.
Yeah. Not even fear can stand against the assault of laughter.
Oh, come on, Steve. Coming from a comedian. You're
And
preaching today.
that joy that you were just talking about, which is also a part of laughter, um, everyone could harness that. And it starts as soon as you open up your eyes to greet the day, because that's when you enter into consciousness. Rather than when you wake up in the morning, rather than fixating on what isn't working and all the things that need to be done, think about who you have to be in order to get it done, and shift your focus and your way of thinking to what is working. Bless the things that life has given you rather than cursing what life is currently throwing at you. And this mindset has to start as soon as before you even take the covers off to get out of the bed. Because most people aren't aware, and this is where the enemy can take control, or as I call the big mouth inside your head, that as soon as they greet the day, they're starting off in a low mood at best.
Yes.
And the scary thing, Lisa, is that they're not even aware of what they're doing to themselves. That's because as soon as they wake up, they didn't take the covers off, they start thinking of the grueling day they had the day before, all the fires that Warren put out, the irate people that they had to deal with. And they don't even give themselves that chance, a break. And that mood that they start off with at the beginning of the day pretty much is going to be the attitude they'll have throughout the day. And as I said, they're not aware of this mindset that they have created over and over and over again. And that's where that big mouth inside your head, or some people call it the devil, which is pretty cool, because if you listen to it, there will be hell to pay. And and they're not aware of what they're doing to themselves. So, you know, and that's what the book in part is what it's about. He's letting Bernie know that we are more control of our lives than what you can possibly imagine. It's just that you have to know the power that you have that's within you.
Well, you know, it's funny when you start to look at the Bible, because I love how, like, we can look at the Bible, but we also can look at the life of Jesus. Now I'm just going to say this. Do you think that Jesus was a stick in the mud? Like,
I thought he had a great
was
sense
funny.
of humor.
I think he was like you. I think he had a ton of humor. I think he was like, you call that a fish? Let me show you a fish.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. I think he was funny. But do you know that in Genesis, okay, back in the book of Genesis, do you know the story about Abraham and his wife Sarah? Okay. And God promised him that he was going to have a child that was going to produce many, many, many descendants. Okay. So when God actually was, I think it was Jesus, but it says that the Lord came to see Abraham, and he said, this time next year, he said, Sarah's going to have a baby. Now, she was way past the time of having a baby. I mean, she was old. Let's just put it this way. Talking about eggs, they were not just scrambled. They were well done. I mean, they were hard boiled. I'm just saying, okay? So there was no yolk there. No yolking.
Oh God.
But no, but in seriousness, just roll her around, folks. She'll get it out. But it says that Abraham named his son, who Sarah bore to him, Isaac, which means laughter.
Yeah.
Which is laughter. Yeah, Lisa with dad jokes. That's exactly what it is. But that's the thing, is that Isaac was actually named Laughter. Come on now. It's laughter. I'm actually going to go and look and make sure that is correct, because, you know, there is something about laughter that shifts and change things. That's why you, being a comedian, coming into motivational speaking, was so brilliant, because people need to laugh. It's like, I think about the Joker and Batman. Why so serious, right?
Yeah.
Because we have become so serious, and especially with everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
We don't like to stop and just even laugh at ourselves. Sometimes you have to laugh even at yourself. You have to laugh at your mistakes. You have to laugh at the choices that you make and be like, gosh, I wish I would have saw that then. But not beating yourself up, because that's what the big mouth wants to do.
Yeah, the big mouth inside your head. And it's amazing how people go through life. And you look back at certain situations that were so upsetting to you a year or two ago, but now you look back at it and you start laughing your butt off, because you can't believe that you were taking that so seriously.
Yes.
So I say, why not shorten the duration? It's only a matter of time that's separating it. If you can look at it from a humorous perspective a couple of months from now, why not shorten it and start laughing like almost after it happens
Come
and
on.
give yourself that break? You know what I mean? And
Okay.
notice how much better you feel.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Okay. So when we start to, and I did check, guess what? Isaac means laughter. Ha! There you go. Which I never knew about. See, thank you so much for coming on. You taught me something new today. Because, well, no, I didn't know that. But now
Yeah.
if you look at that perspective, because both, Abraham and Sarah were so old, they didn't think there was a possibility. In fact, Sarah, because she couldn't have a baby, she decided to get her concubine to go and have a baby with her husband to fulfill the prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then God said, listen, I'm going to make it so that there's absolutely no way possible you can take any credit. And then I'm going to laugh about it.
Yeah.
And so if you think about it, every time that we hear the name of Isaac, if we just see God laughing and going, and the devil thought that they couldn't have any kids because she had no eggs.
Yep.
Here,
Yep.
Jesus, let me show you this. Watch this. She's
Yeah.
like, how old is she?
Yeah.
No eggs. Boom. Done.
I've always had an image of Jesus walking with his crew, his disciples, and I always thought that he always had a smirk, especially when they would ask a question. And when Jesus would say to them sometimes, "Oh, ye of little faith," I always thought he did like an Archie Bunker thing, like, "Oh, James, here we go again. How many times I got to tell you there, huh? Come here, dingbat, meathead." And
Yeah.
I just think that because they were so close, and that's all they did was trying to give the message everywhere. And I just think that he treated them like, come on, guys, when are you going to get this?
Yeah.
Because he knew what worked and he knew how close they were, but they kept falling back into the same negative syndrome. And they
Come
always
on.
panicked before they could see that, don't worry, I got this. We can handle this.
Right. And, it's funny because we, as much as we are humor beings, we also are creative beings.
Yep.
We are creative beings. And what does that look like? Well, we are the only thing that was created by God Himself to create. What
Yep.
do we create? We get to create comedy shows.
Yeah.
Do we really think that God does not like to laugh? I believe that there's a comedy show in heaven. I mean, it's probably a little bit cleaner than some of the comedy shows here, but laughter is something that's good. There's
Yeah.
always something to laugh at.
Yep.
Because we were created with a laugh button. We were created with a joy button, because when the joy gets released, have you ever seen actual, like, God joy? Have you ever seen that?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
people are on the floor rolling around and they can't control themselves,
Mm-hmm.
that the laughter becomes so intense that you, like, sometimes, like, if the joy hits me, I'm on the floor, Steve, like this. I'm like, stop, my head hurts. And I'm laughing.
In India, they have laughter houses. They
They have
actually
what?
have these wonderful homes, big elaborate homes that people go to before they go to work, and when they leave work, they go into these places and they laugh. They just start laughing, and they have become so accustomed to it. And they say the healing power is absolutely, it's over the top. It's over the top with what they do. I always say, and Bob says this to Bernie in the book. Says, Bernie, laughter is the pit stop in the rat race of life, and that it gives you enough fuel and repairs to get back into the race again. And it's your choice. It's always your choice. And for every choice that you make throughout the course of your life, there's always a consequence. Always.
That is so good. So I'm also going to say, when the joy actually hit me, and I've shared this before, but I didn't understand it, Steve, because I came home. Well, first of all, now picture this. Picture Perna coming to pick me up from a conference, a godly conference. And I'm in the parking lot talking to someone, hunched over, hysterically laughing on the phone in like a ball in the parking lot, okay, of a mall. That's where I am. And Rob's like, Lisa, come on, let's go. And I'm like, I can't move. He goes to help pick me up, and my feet come with me. So I'm like, because I can't move. I can't move. And I'm hysterically laughing. And the more that he's touching, the more I'm hysterically laughing. And he's like, Lisa, come on. This is like, get up, move your legs. And I'm like, I can't. And he's like, what do you mean you can't? I can't. So I come home, and my kids are watching this laughter starting to consume. And what happens is, as they see me laugh, they start to laugh. They're laughing at because laughter, just like fear, is contagious. It's contagious.
Yeah.
And so if we hang around people who are constantly happy and joyful, that's what we're going to start to be.
Yep, absolutely. Then it becomes a part of who you are. The more you get in tune with your humor being, the more it becomes a part of who you are. And for some reason, life just becomes easier. It's an alternative. It's an alternative, especially during challenging times. And what a great gift to give to your children, because I think kids need to know that life can be very challenging, and many days you're going to go through a lot of challenges, but there's always room for laughter. There's always room for that part of you that can always bring out the best in you, especially when times are tough. And that's what laughter does. That's what it does.
That is what laughter does. And laughter, I believe that laughter, the thing about laughter is you can be triggered by a memory and bring up laughter.
Yep. Well, Lisa, it's one of the things. It's one of the things. This experience that I had that made me gradually shift from stand up to become a speaker. There were times when I was on stage and it would hit me with such clarity that I was well aware that there were people in the audience, maybe 600 people, sold out crowd, laughing their butts off in the audience. And I was well aware that some of the people in the audience were experiencing some challenging times. Maybe they were going through a divorce, having financial difficulties. Maybe they were a loved one were inflicted with some kind of illness. But for that hour that I was on stage, their challenges, their problems didn't own them. Why? Because they simply allowed themselves to take time out to laugh. But the initiative and the proficiency by which we allow ourselves to laugh comes from what I call your humor being. And we all have it. And the more you become aware of what a wonderful time you had about laughing, again, that's when it becomes more of a part of who you are.
Absolutely. And if you've ever seen the movie, it's called Legally Blonde. She talks about exercise, and she says exercise releases endorphins, right?
Yep.
Well, it's the same thing with laughter.
Absolutely.
Laughter releases endorphins. And then she goes on to say, and happy people don't kill people. So if you are happy, so how do I mean, like, do we go out and like actually kill people? No, but we can kill people with our words. We can kill people with our attitude. We can come in and be a party killer. Yeah. We can come in because we've had a miserable day, and we can actually affect and change the entire room, like, oh my gosh, they're a killjoy. Think about some of these words that we use. Oh my gosh, you're such a killjoy.
Yeah.
Because the truth is the truth.
Yep.
The truth is the truth. And however you want to package it, it still is the truth. And the truth is that the laughter comes from the Lord. The laughter, the joy and the strength that we have to get through difficult situations comes from God. It says so. It doesn't. Listen, do you really think that the enemy makes you laugh? I'm just saying. When was the last time that the enemy made you laugh? Unless you're mocking him. But when was the last time that he made you laugh? He doesn't have laughter in him. Talk about killjoy.
Yeah. And God knows that it's part of the human condition to make challenging situations worse than what they have to be.
Yeah.
We have a tendency of making problems bigger and becoming emotionally distraught when we are confronted with a challenge. And which is why he gave us these innate common sense strategies that can help us to deal with these things,
Absolutely.
to put us back on the track again, the bounce back factor. It's
Yeah.
that and shifting your way of thinking, and it's that, and also seeking the joy rather than focusing on what you don't have and what isn't working in your life. And these are the things that can turn your life around gradually, maybe slowly, but eventually they become a part of who you are. Because most people have become a part of the other side of them, the ones that live in the negative zone. And they're not even aware of how they even wound up in this place. And even if they are aware that they're in it, they don't know how to get out.
Mm.
And then they get more emotionally distraught, and they just compound it by their way of thinking. And that thought leads to another thought. And then all of a sudden, those thoughts will solidify the belief that they have about themselves. And
That's so
your beliefs write the story of your life.
That's so
And
good. Well,
we do this to ourselves.
Well, you also started to say that as a man, there is a scripture. It says, "As a man thinketh, so is he."
Yeah.
So how you see yourself, how you think of yourself,
Yep.
is really important.
Yep.
Because what you believe is what you live.
Yep.
There is no other way.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing. And so what people, unfortunately, sometimes by when you curse somebody, when you start to tell somebody, because we all get angry, we all say things that we shouldn't say.
Yeah.
But we can actually change the trajectory, especially in children. We can change the trajectory of how they see themselves. If a child goes to a teacher and the teacher says that you're not smart, that child is going to believe that authority figure is telling them that they're not smart. And so what they're going to do is they're going to shut down a part of them.
Yep. Well, Lisa, that's what happened to me.
Well, I'm working there. I'm trying to get there, but you beat me to it. Go ahead. I'm moving you in there, Steve. Opening the door. Opening the door. No, because I wanted you to talk about that, because I think that's such a beautiful story. So why don't you go ahead and share that?
Yeah. I was in 8th grade. This was I guess, the foundation of not believing in myself. I was in a guidance counsel office with my mom and dad. I was 14 years old, and we were going over what I was going to do for the rest of my high school years to prepare me for when I go into the world. And I wanted to be a teacher. That's what I told the counselor. And he looked at my mom and dad, and he said that, I'm sorry, but I don't think that Stephen has what it takes to go to college. And what I heard, and what my mom and dad heard, was, your son isn't smart enough. The sad truth is that my mom and dad were from the old school. As wonderful as they were, they believed this guy. They figured he's got to know what he's talking about. Look at his title, guidance counselor. If he doesn't know, who does? And I believed them too. So I didn't think anything of it that much. However, I did start hanging out with a very tough crowd, and I wanted to fit in with the people that I thought were going to be on my level. And then in 12th grade, I happened to be in a guidance counselor's office, and I found the list of what was going to be put in the yearbook. Most likely to succeed, class clown, the best hair, best personality. Well, I was on a list for those who was going to be least likely to succeed. And I realized when I got
so awful.
I know. Well, when I went into the adult world and I got out of school, unknowingly, those beliefs became a part of who I was. And my motto in life was, don't try and you can't fail. You don't have to worry about being embarrassed, because things aren't going to happen for you anyway. I didn't think I was good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But to make a long story short, 5 years after I did go to college, it wasn't easy for me, but I did graduate with high honors. I went back to the same school that I graduated from, and I taught English for 2 years, and I counseled kids with behavioral problems. And from there, I did stand-up comedy, and from there, I became a motivational speaker. But it was a gradual, long process by using common sense strategies to turn my life around.
Okay, but I'm going to say this, Steve. See, I'm getting in your face here. The fact that you knew that you were called to be a teacher, it's who you are. You can't outrun who you are, no matter how much you try.
Such a great point. Yeah, yeah.
And so you knew that you were supposed to teach. But see, what I see in you is not only a teacher, but the fact that you have such a heart for children who are troubled. There's a pastor in there, which leads me to the book. Because what are you doing? You're teaching truths without using the Bible. But these are truths. I mean, like whether you look any way you want to cut it, it still is a truth.
Yep.
But there are so many people who've been Bible thumped, just like that counselor who said, "You're not good enough. You're not going to be able to get there." Do you know how many different pastors and preachers and stuff have told people that they're not good enough to go to heaven, that God
Yep.
can never forgive them, that
Yep.
that they are just going to have to live out the purposes and the plans, and God doesn't love them, or that they're less than. That's why the religiousness of the church is so detrimental, because there have been people who've been discounted based on choices that they're making, okay,
Yep.
because they don't know there's an alternative choice. They don't know
Exactly.
that there's an
And,
alternative
and when I
choice.
said to you earlier that what you think is what you get, and also what you say out loud is what you ask for, it doesn't just mean your thought process. It's the thoughts that you're taking on from other people that you're ingesting into your head that becomes your thought process. And if your parents are constantly telling you what kind of an idiot are you, or you're not smart enough, and a teacher occasionally says it to you, those thoughts from those other people become a part of you, and you own that. And
Mhm.
through a lifetime, those thoughts will create the beliefs that you have. The beliefs you have about anything in your life are formulated over a period of time through a consistent way of thinking. And as I said, Lisa, there's a cycle here. And this is how the law of attraction works, which is the greatest creation that God ever made, is that um, those thoughts will create your beliefs. Those thoughts and beliefs will create the way that you feel. And those
I-
feelings will lead to the attitude that you have on any given day. Most people going through their life with a bad attitude, consistently failing, never giving themselves a chance to learn from their failures because they're just not feeling right. And they don't know they're not feeling right because it's what they're saying to themselves and what they're thinking on a consistent basis. And they don't know that they have a negative belief system. To them, it's just reality, but it's a false reality. It's a false reality that they created. That's why I made it very clear in the book when Bob is talking to Bernie. He says, your life is based on three principles. Number one, you need to know without a doubt that you are the creator of your success and happiness. There are no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And he says to Bernie, what I mean by that, Bernie, is it's not what happens to you that determines how successful and how happy you're going to be. It's what you do about what happens. It's the choices that you make. It's the thoughts you have about any challenge that will make the difference. And then he says, principle number two, he says, Bernie, you need to know that you're the only problem you'll ever have. And somewhere within you, there was always a solution waiting to be discovered. You just have to learn how to get out of your own way to allow the solution to reveal itself. And the last principle he gives to Bernie, he says, whenever you're confronted with a challenge or a problem of any kind, it's never a matter of being frantic and trying to manage the situation. He says, Bernie, it's how you manage your mind. Can you manage your mind and the toxic thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that are the very things that are keeping you from finding the solution that's waiting to be discovered and from living the life that you desire? It's all based on the choices that we make and what we want to absorb within ourselves to make our lives work.
Well, and I'm gonna go a little biblical with you, because I love that's what I love about you, Steve, is that you can give it in a perspective where there are we have the power, and I completely do agree with that. Okay, but it says that we need to change the way that we think through Jesus,
Exactly.
because it says, as a man thinketh, so is he, which we have said before. But it says that the only way that we can change our mind is by hearing truth. It says that the truth will set you free.
Yep.
Well, what is the truth? If people have been telling you lies all your life, how do you know what the truth is? Because now the lies have become your truth. So, how do you sit there and how do you say, okay, this is what I've believed all my life, but there's something inside of me that says that this isn't true? So how do you find the truth? Well, Jesus is the truth. Jesus is the truth and the way and the light. No one that is what we're supposed to do. And we're supposed to have intimacy with the Father. We're supposed to be connected to the Godhead. And it also says that we can have a Christ-like mind. In Christ, we do not have fear. In Christ, we do not have confusion. In Christ, we do not have chaos. So the principles of the law of attraction is actually a biblical principle.
Of course it
Because
is.
the things that we speak out, we create. We
Yep.
create good things, we create bad things, we create blessings, we create cursing. And some of the most important things that we have to speak is to speak life over ourselves. It's interesting. I don't know if you have this skit or somebody has a skit about being in an airplane and like when the thing comes down, okay? When the mask comes down, people are, especially as a parent, you want to go and put it on your children, but you can't. You have to put it on yourself. You have to breathe. You have to be in a place where you have breath. And there are so many people right now they are shallow breathers because they have been breathing in lies. They've been breathing in destruction. They've been breathing in fear. Yep. Fear has no life in it. Fear has no life on it. It's shallow breaths. But when you get to breathe in the truth, you have a breath of life. You have a breath that you can share with other people. See, Jesus is that mask that we get to put on so that we can help other people breathe again. Because It's just like sometimes when somebody is so panicky, you have to say to them, just breathe.
Yep.
Just breathe.
And get your mindset straight.
And get your mindset. Because in the panic, you can't think. In the panic, you've opened up the door for chaos and confusion. In the panic, and the fear comes in, and then the doubt comes in, and then all the insecurities come in.
And Jesus was surrounded by negativity most of his life. That's how he created these miracles. He saw someone that was blind, someone that had leprosy. There were people where he knew he had to feed thousands of people. But the thing is that Jesus never saw lack. He never saw lack. And I think that's one of the reasons, because he knew the power of thoughts. I think that's one of the reasons why you just take the miracle when he fed the multitudes of people, right? He said a prayer and he always looked up. And I always thought that he was looking up to look away from all the negative people and all the lack that was surrounding him, that mindset that was all around him. He refused to go there because he always saw the whole in every situation. He saw the whole in all the people that were ill, which is why when he prayed with utter confidence, his thought process, which created this impeccable belief system, this impeccable faith, this foundation that he came from, was able to what people call miracles. But to him, it was, we all have the power to do it, as he said, and even more if we just learned how to do it. And I don't know how many people can do that, but I think that's how he was able to do what he did, because he was able to tap into that part of himself that he refused to see even the slightest glimpse of doubt, even the slightest glimpse of fear. To him, fear was no. It's only, I can only feed the fear. We could only feed the fear.
That's right.
And if you feed it, you're gonna add out to the equation.
That's right. It's interesting. Excuse me. One of the things that I love about you, Steve, is that God gives you an understanding of something that for scholars has been like sermons and all this stuff, but yet you're able to take it and put it into a very simplistic understanding, like a child.
I appreciate
he saw the holes. Yep. He saw the holes in the enemy's plan, because it says that Jesus said, I do nothing unless I see my Father do it. So what he was doing is, when he was looking up, he was seeing what his Father was doing.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, okay, that's what I have to do. Oh, yeah. That's what I have to do. See, when you've seen miracles, it's crazy, because sometimes it's just this unction inside of you to see what is wrong become right. because you know that it's an injustice. That's the way that I see. That's when I see sickness, it's an injustice. It's illegal. And I get really angry. And I've seen miracles. I have seen a lot of miracles. But one of the interesting things is that sometimes somebody has to point out what's wrong with them because I don't see it. In the natural, I don't see it. Like there was a woman who had a scar. She came to, I'm coming to cover the scar. I'm like, what scar? She's like, the scar on my face. I go, where? And she goes, you don't see it? And I said, no. And she had to point to it. And as soon as she pointed to it, I saw it. Because just like what you're saying, I saw the finished product.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I didn't see, and that's what Jesus
you saw the hole within the person. Yeah.
I saw the hole within the person.
But if you're focusing,
I love that.
If you're focusing on the other part, that's your reality.
That's right.
You know, people do that with financial situations. The more you focus on your lack, the more of that you're going to get back. You know, so
that's a word right there. That's a word right there. Because, but see, what we're doing is we're opening the door to the devourer. What is a devourer? A devourer is something that eats everything.
Devourer starts with a thought. Yeah. And then all of a sudden more like thoughts come into play. Then another thought. Then before you know it, you're emotionally distraught. And there's no escape when you have just smothered yourself and something is devouring the very essence of who you are. And,
exactly.
And we all, a lot of us are in that syndrome now. And, you know, I still fall prey to it every now and then, but I'm smart enough to become aware when it's happening and to get myself out of it immediately. Because those negative labels that are bestowed upon you, anybody, they don't disappear. They're always going to be there in the canyons of your mind. You just have to be aware that they're going to be there and that it'll take one negative thought to ignite it again, to come to the forefront and start taking control of your life again. That's why you always have to be on guard and aware that it's happening. And then you can go back to your natural self anytime you want to, as long as you're aware of what's happening to you.
Okay, so I want to go back to something that you said, what you feed. Remember you said that, what you feed, if you're feeding anger.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a really disgusting visual, but it's going to change the way that you think. Okay, so if we're feeding something, that means that they're eating. Okay? So they're eating what our words, but if they're eating our thoughts, aren't they eating us? Think of a demon who sits at your foot and just is chewing on you, just eating you, taking a fork and a knife, cutting you open in the spiritual realm, because it's not your flesh, but sometimes it's in sickness. Sometimes it's in sickness. And so as your body is being consumed with these thoughts and everything, right? Okay. So if we can see a visual, because sometimes I think that visuals remind people of like, dude, you're not eating me. Because there are people who do see in the spiritual realm and they've seen that. They have seen demons eating people, literally eating, devouring people. It's so important that the minute that we get that stinking thinking, that we say, stop, no, buffet's closed. I'm closing the buffet. There's no food here. There's no food here. You are not going to eat off of me. You're not going to eat off of my fear. You're not going to eat off of my doubt.
And you have the choice to feed it or not. Exactly.
Exactly. And that's the thing. When you say that we have the power, we do have the power. We have the choice. God has given us choices to say yes and to say no. To say, I'm going to follow you or I don't want you. That's the whole thing, is everything is in our agreement. What we come into agreement with, if you think about a contract, what we sign to, we start to walk out. And so when we start to even ingest, oh my gosh, you're killing me. You're killing me. Right? We're calling. No, you can't say that. It's exactly. Like we have to stop some of these like things that have become socially acceptable, because where did it come from?
Some people call it negative self-talk. I call it self-curse talk. Because
that's a good word.
Well, that's what Bob says to Bernie in the book, because you're casting a spell on your life. And you do it. And you do it unconsciously. Look at you. And you do it you crack me up. And you do it unconsciously. You don't even know you're doing it.
Yep.
A simple thing, you're setting up to achieve a goal. It's a business goal. You invested money. You know you can do this. Everything's going fine. But then all of a sudden, which is what happens in life every day, you're confronted with a challenge. And all of a sudden you realize you went two steps up, but now you want 5 steps back. Then all of a sudden that one negative thought comes out, and it starts with, I can't believe this is happening to me every single time I try something. It never works. You just opened up the door to the negative zone. And now you're inviting more like thoughts to come into play. And now you go on this rampage. Why does everybody else have what I want? Every time I try to do something, it never works. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy enough. This is absolutely absurd. Now, not only are you in the negative zone, the door is closed and it's very difficult to get out. And now you compound the problem because you're making a challenging situation worse than what it has to be, because you're not leaving any room at all in that wonderful brain that you have for other alternatives to stop and say to yourself, what can I do to turn this around? Who can I go to that can help me? Could I pray to get the right answers for this? I know there's something within me that can meet this challenge head on. But you can't do that if you're overwhelmed by all the crap that you're ingesting and that you're creating. You're doing it yourself.
Hold 1 second, because I need to do this. Hold on.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
How to do that?
I love that character.
So good.
Where is the kaboom?
That was so good. I mean, that was what I like to call a truth bomb. That was a truth bomb. I'm just saying.
And we do it to ourselves, which is what Bob meant when he said to Bernie, you're the creator of your success and happiness. You create with your thoughts and what you believe. And if you're just going to go on life with that attitude that is created by your thoughts, you're not going to go far. You're always going to go up a little bit and down and down and down and down.
That's it. But
then you're inviting the destroyers of the spirit to come in to take control.
Come on, Steve. Seriously. I'm telling you. I'm going to spend some time with you. I'm going to tell you, you won't be preaching. I'm telling you, there is a preacher inside of you. There is a preacher inside of you. Listen.
I think Jesus has said, oh, geez, don't push him.
I am telling you, there is a preacher inside of you, because you know how Jesus taught them? He taught them through stories.
Oh, yeah.
And you're a storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And if he can use me, I'm just saying, if he can use me, he can use you. So, and look at what somebody wrote. Steve, you are highlighting some truths that keep people in bondage. Redirecting our thoughts to Jesus is the answer. Thank you for speaking out. I'm just saying, when I read your book, because Steve sent me his book, he's like, Lisa, he goes, I know you do this like whole Christian thing, so I want you to read my book. I'm like, sure. I said, sure, send it to me. And I read it. I was like, this is like Bible. I told my husband, I was like, Rob, like, he doesn't know it's Bible, but it's Bible. There is stuff in there that are biblical principles. You are not a traditional preacher, but you can preach and to tell people that there is a better way, that they can live their life.
Yep. Well, that's why the subtitle is A Timeless, Entertaining Dialogue for Living an Extraordinary Life.
That's it.
It's an easy read. It's all common sense stuff. It's funny. And like I said, it took me 7 years. The reason why it took me 7 years is because every time I thought it was finished, Bob said, no, not yet. You have more stuff that you have to experience. And every time he said that, I don't know, geez, more stuff. That's what I need. I already lost my hair. What else am I going to lose?
But see, now this is the thing, Steve. You hear from your creator. You hear from Papa. You hear from God.
Wakes me up at 2:00 in the morning, usually.
Yeah. See,
That's what he did every time. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's speaking life.
Yep.
He's not speaking judgment. He's not cursing you. He's speaking in love. He's speaking in truth. That's how you can understand. And so people have to get that shift. Yeah, grab your sandals, Steve. But see, this is the thing. There are so many people who are so angry at God. They're so angry at God, but they might actually start to like Bob.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad you just said that. That's what
Isn't
the
it
beginning of
amazing?
that's what the book is all about. Because Bernie, this character, winds up in a place that he thinks is heaven, and he realizes, I'm not going to tell you how God gets the name Bob, but when they start having the conversation, this is at the very beginning. Bernie breaks down, and Bob looks at him before he breaks down. Bob goes, "Well, you seem like you're a little tad upset with me." And Bob already knows what Bernie's going to say. This is when Bernie first has his first emotional breakdown. He looks at Bob and he says, "You never answered my prayers. I prayed to you. I pleaded with you. I was down on my hands and knees. I did everything I could for you to listen to me. Do you have any idea what it's like to see your friends and everyone in your inner circle to have the things that you desire, to succeed on every level of their life? And every time I tried, it never worked. It never worked." To make a long story short, Bob listens and he said, "I did answer your prayers, but Bernie, you pray with the same woe is me attitude that you have about your life." He goes, "It's your thought process. You go to prayer with doubt. While you're praying, you don't believe it's going to be answered. After the prayer, you don't think it's going to be answered. Deep inside of you, you don't believe it's going to work. So, and yet he said, you expect a miracle from me." And Bernie says, "What? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Isn't that your job, to create miracles?" And Bob says, "Bernie, have you ever heard the saying, God helps those who help themselves?" And he goes, "Yes, I heard it my whole life." He goes, "Do you have any idea what it means?" And Bob explains it to him. He goes, "It means you have to meet me halfway. I could only do for you for what you're willing to do for yourself." He goes, "For example, just a few days ago, you were praying for peace of mind on that day. And the first thing you did when you got in traffic, you started cursing at everyone in traffic. That set the tone and the attitude that you had for the entire day." He goes, "You have to meet me halfway. I can plant the seed to a miracle happening, to an answer to your prayer, but you're constantly squashing the seed from manifesting into what you desire with your own negative inertia every day, in and out." And it
Hold
hits,
on.
it hurts
Hold
Bernie
on.
like a ton of bricks.
Hold on.
Okay.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
Oh, Lisa, I love that. I love that.
I do too. Makes me so happy. But everything that you are saying, is biblical. It's biblical. I can give you scripture to back it up.
I didn't know it was, but
I
okay.
know you didn't. That's what I love about you. You didn't know. But see, this is the thing. These are where these conversations with people who don't know the Bible, who don't understand the truth of who they are in Christ. But we can say, "Oh, yes, that is in the Bible. Here, let me show you. Oh, yes, Jesus said that. Jesus said that. Yeah, Jesus said that." Because, there's this woman, her name is Joyce Meyer, and she always says stinking thinking. And she wrote a book called Battlefield of the Mind, because that's where the battle is.
I've seen Joyce Meyer a few times on TV.
Right? Okay, so this is the cool part. Okay, this is the cool part about this whole thing, is that, okay, so we have the stinking thinking. We start to speak out the things. What do you think? Do you remember Tom and of course you know Tom and Jerry, but do you remember when they had the angel cat on one shoulder?
Oh, the angel and devil. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, that's been all over the place, right? We've seen that in many different cartoons. cartoons for children, by the way. Can I just say that?
Mhm.
And what happens is the good says, no, don't do that. But our flesh, our fleshy part that they like to eat, that's what goes after and says, no, 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 you need to do that. You need to do that, because we have to understand that we live in a physical world, but we fight in a spiritual one. We fight in a spiritual one because how, if it's in the physical, how is something getting into our mind? It's spiritual. It's spiritual. I can't put thoughts into your head, right? I can't make you think a certain way. That's impossible. I can't just sit there and drill
Unless
some.
I allow your thoughts to go into my head.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but if you have something spiritual that's, that sounds like a good idea.
Mhm.
That sounds like a good idea. It's a spiritual battle, Steve. It's a
Yeah.
spiritual battle.
Yeah.
No matter how much we want to sugarcoat it, they have the enemy has been telling us for years and years and years in cartoons and in movies about doing the wrong thing. And this is what happens. And it has to tell you the truth. It has to tell you the truth because we have a choice. But do you know that when God created, he created man and he created him in his image? He gave God gave man the authority here on earth. We have the authority. Well, what does that mean? If you own a business, it's your business, okay? And you have people and you tell people what to do they do it if it's your business, right? And if you take out a loan, it's in your name. Everything that you do in that house or in that business, you have the authority. Now, can you have an employee come over and start to tell everybody what to do in your business? No, unless you give them permission.
Right.
Unless you tell everybody, hey, you see Joe over there? Okay, he's the manager. You're going to listen to Joe. So if I'm not here, you're listening to Joe. We are Joe.
Yeah.
We are Joe.
Conversation with Joe.
Conversations with Joe. So what happens is that we have the authority here on earth to decree and declare and to make rules. Okay? The devil doesn't have that ability. He has to use people. So the devil starts to tell people, hey, make this a rule. Hey, do this and make this happen. Because we can either work for God or we can work for the devil. We make a choice every single day. That's it. How do we live our life? It's our choice. So
Yeah.
everything that you have said is biblical, pretty much.
I just didn't know it, but thanks.
You're welcome. That's what I said. I'm going to start calling you Pastor Steve.
Oh, no.
I know he's getting scared now. He's like, oh, Lisa's saying something. I don't know.
I just have this image of Jesus again. Geez.
But see, but this is the beautiful part, Steve, is that religion is being shifted and changed, but the truth is rising to the surface.
Yeah, I feel it. I know. We told you before the show that stuff is happening inside me, and I have. I know there's probably a lot of people that know me that are watching now. I have thought at some point I might become a pastor or something, somehow, some way. No, I really thought about it.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
so shocked.
And it's funny how life works. It's all full circle. You said it perfectly just before. Yes, when I was 8th grade, the guidance counselor said, "What do you want to do?" I didn't even think. I said, "I want to be a teacher," because I knew that's who I am. I'm a teacher.
You are.
And there's a reason why I had to have a challenge to go through all that stuff, because I see my life now coming full circle. If I didn't go through the crap that I was going through, I wouldn't be in a position where I can help other people. So I went through this transition. And then I finally did go to college after 5 years, after high school. I did graduate with honors, and it was not easy, but I did it. And my belief system was becoming really intense. And while I was teaching and doing that stuff at night, I was at the comedy clubs honing on my comedy skills. And then comedy clubs started opening all over the country. And I quit teaching and I did stand up. And it was just a big learning experience. And then I realized at the pinnacle of my comedy career, all of my opening acts who are big stars today were getting big breaks. Why was an opportunity knocking on my door? And I realized it's just that I was afraid to open the door. I realized I had a fear of success and failure. My negative labels were coming back to haunt me. And that's when I went on a quest to better myself. And through the years I did, I went on spiritual retreats. I went on motivational seminars. My life started turning. And that's when I said, the teacher part of me needs to be ignited again. And that's when I became a speaker. And that's where I am.
That's it. And you're teaching, but you're also preaching, because you can see my reaction to some of the stuff you said.
Yeah.
That's a preacher. You're hitting a point. Okay. You're preaching truth. You're telling people truth. Okay. And you're changing the way that they respond.
Yep. And I use humor as a strategy, as a tool to captivate the audience.
Yes, absolutely.
Because today we live in the United States of entertainment, and a speaker.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And that's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can say, oh well, he's a comedian. I'm not going to say anything. But what's his name? What's his name? He was a pastor. He was a pastor before he
Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison. Thank you. Oh my God, I couldn't get it out. Thank you.
Very good friend of mine.
Yes, Sam was a pastor. People are like, oh no, what? Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Yep.
Yes, he was.
That's how he vented his anger about being a pastor, because he was kind of led the wrong way, and he realized he was preaching the wrong way. And rather than turning it around to do it the right way, he got caught up in the comedian part of him, and a lot of stuff was really the demise of his career and his life. Unable to escape from the clutches of what was really holding on to him. And I knew he knew that there were things wrong with the way certain preachers were preaching, and he knew he was one of them, and he knew there was a better way, but he never was able to ignite that higher part of him that can keep him going to turn that around to really make a difference in people's lives, because he had perfect command of the audience.
He did.
But I didn't want to get into that, but I
know, but see, but this is the thing. Everybody has a call. Everybody has a call. I'm looking for AF. I don't know if he's in my chat, but
what?
Look at what I just posted.
Look what you just posted. It's done.
It's overturned.
Roe was overturned. Wow.
You don't. Do you know how many times God told me that this was going to happen? Do you know how many times God told me that he was going to overturn Roe versus Wade? He told me, and I held tight to it. Do you understand what this does?
It's time to celebrate.
Yeah, because do you know? Okay, I'm gonna do a broadcast on Monday, and I'm gonna talk about the blood still speaks. Do you know that the innocent blood still speaks? That it cries out? That if you read in the book of Revelation, all the martyrs and those who have been slaughtered, that it cries out? Do you know that the children's blood cries out? The abortion cries out. It cries out. It's an injustice. And if people truly understood what it was and what it was about, this is so huge. Our country has been cursed because of this. But God told me in 2015, I told you this, in 2015, he told me that Donald Trump was going to be our president, and he told me he was going to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Well, be prepared for what's going to be happening now in the streets. So
let me just tell you something. Those demons, let me just tell you something. Those demons can cry, they can scream, they can have their hissy fit, but this is from God, and God is going to have his way,
I,
and
I,
he is going to have his way.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing. I could do such a great impression of you right now with your confidence. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Okay. Okay. As you're getting closer to the
Oh
screen,
yeah.
and I can picture all your viewers going, "Uh-oh, there she goes."
Oh no. When I push back, when I start pushing back, they know, because we prayed against that nonsense. But I'm just going to tell you something. Those demons, because let me tell you something. That's what this is. These poor innocent people, they have been demonized. They have been tricked. They have been fooled. They have been fooled. But do you know that they've been doing this since the foundations of time? Do you know that? That they've been sacrificing babies since the foundations of time? And you know that they sacrifice it to false gods? Did you know that? Did you know that God hated it then and hates it now, and he's overturning it? He did overturn it. He overturned it. And there ain't nothing you
High
can
five.
do about it.
High five.
I know. There you go. I'm
Well,
telling you, this is a day that is forever going to change everything, because I just had this guy, his name is Scott Horde. And when I was talking to him, I prophesied over him, and I saw Planned Parenthood becoming places that actually helped to house people who were pregnant. That they became, I saw cribs. Instead of seeing abortions, I saw cribs with babies in it.
yeah.
I'm just saying that this, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. This has been the biggest lie. This has been the biggest lie with the biggest propaganda. And people, if they understood the truth, they would be rejoicing. They will,
Well,
because
it's
they're going to find
coming
out.
out slowly but surely.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I just want to talk to you about something, because you know what? Sometimes we think that our prayers don't avail much. And sometimes we think that who we are called to be will never happen, especially if we're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I want you to watch this video, because when God has a plan, a purpose for someone, you bet your bippy they're going to walk it out.
Zechariah, he was a nice person. He was a decent person. He was very smart. He was the only Christian in the whole of the school. And I hated him. And because I thought as a Muslim, I must be better than him. But he was better than I. We start to beat him every single day that we come to school. And we agreed on that night, we need to kill him. It was dark. It was cold. And we went ahead of him. And we were 5 of us. We climbed a tree and we waited there. And from far away, we saw that a torch coming. And the light became bigger and bigger as it approaches us. And the minute that he just went under the tree, we jumped at him. He was crying, he was screaming, he was shouting. We broke his arm, we broke his leg. He started to bleed. And because he started to scream and begging for help, I put my hand in his mouth so that no noise will come out of him. It's similar when you are slaughtering a sheep, you know, it's just shivering, and the others were beating him. I felt very proud. You were actually doing something for Allah. You know, you want to please him. And suddenly, he could no longer breathe, and we could not hear his voice. We left him in the wood between life and death. We went back, you wash yourself, and you pray. And Zechariah never came back. I've never seen him again. I was born and raised up in a very, very fanatic Muslim family. When I was a child, my father brought me to a Quran school. I was only 8 years old, and my father just dropped me there. They shaved my head. We sat in a circle. The shaykh sat in the middle of this circle, and he has a very long whip. I was forced to memorize the Quran. Every mistake that you do, this whip will just come right in the middle of your head. You're not allowed to cry, because in our culture they tell you men never cry. I was crying every single night. And they told me, you belong to the Islamic Ummah, and that's why you fight for it, you stay loyal to it. I started to hate people, to hate everybody who's not a Muslim. And I especially used to hate the Jews. So I was preparing myself to go and fight for Allah in the jihad. But every night I went to bed, and when we put the light off, I did not know what will happen with me if I die. My cousin was severely sick, and the doctors, they said he's going to die. They gave him only a couple of days. And one day came two people. They were Coptic Christians, and one of them wanted to greet me, and then I saw he had a cross, and then I pulled my hand back. I said, well, I'm not going to touch a hand with a cross. And then he said to me, we hear that this child is sick. We would like to pray for him. And only out of politeness, I told them, okay. And they started to speak to God like a person that he speaks to his friend. They said, God, please heal this child. The minute that they said Amen, this child opened his eyes for the first time in 4 weeks. He started to move his hands. He started to speak. He sat down in his bed and he started to walk. And one of those two persons who prayed sat down with me, and he said to me, you know what? The real miracle is that God wants to change your heart. Do you believe that Yeshua is alive? And I told him, yeah. Because according to the Islamic tradition, God took him to heaven and he's alive and he will come back one day. And he said to me, because he's alive, you can speak to him. That changed my entire life. And when I started to read the scripture, nobody needed to convince me to love the Jewish people. The only way for Muslims to start to love the Jews is when they meet Yeshua. I loved my family, I loved my father, I loved my mother, and I loved my community. And when I decided to follow Yeshua, my grandfather and my father said to me, you are no longer one of us. They made a funeral. They invited friends and family. They brought a coffin to the cemetery, and they said, our son is dead. To be declared dead with no family. I said to God, where are you? I heard this voice, and this voice told me, you know that the grave where your name is written, you know that grave is empty. And guess what? My grave is also empty. I went to Egypt for the first time after many years, and I was in a pastoral conference. And one of the Sudanese pastors came to me, it's an elderly man, gray hair, started to speak to me, and he asked me, where did you come from? I told him my story. He started to cry. And then I asked him, why are you crying? And he said to me, do you remember me? My name is Zachariah. And suddenly, I remembered him. The last time I saw him, it was in that dark night. I could hear suddenly the way that he was screaming, even though that was 25 years. Suddenly I started to see his broken arm and broken legs. I started to see the scars which I caused him. I started to be full of shame. I was a bad person, yeah. I was terrible. So Zachariah looked me straight into the eye again, and he said to me, Yasser, because you hated me so much, I was always praying for you. He opened his Bible, and the minute he opened his Bible, I saw that my name was written in the first page. I hated him. He prayed for me. On that day, God confronted me. He said to me, even before you start to think about me, I was thinking about you. To love those who hate you, you need someone whose name is Yeshua.
How about that?
Holy crap.
How about that?
Holy
You
crap.
don't think our prayers matter? You don't think that the prayers of the saints matter? You don't think that the prayers for your children, that the prayers for the family members that you've been praying for, you don't think that they matter? You think that God doesn't hear us? You don't think that God doesn't see our heart cry? He is faithful. He is faithful. My Father is faithful. My Father is faithful. My Father is faithful. And He is faithful. And today is a day of celebration because God is faithful. Because God is faithful. Because we prayed to take down those walls, those Jericho walls of abortion. And we prayed and we prayed and we decreed and we declared. And I wept for the babies. And I wept for the mothers. And I wept for those who were underneath this lie of what it was. We prayed and we prayed and we prayed, and for generations have prayed, and women who marched around the abortion clinics have prayed and prayed and prayed. Don't you think that our prayers go unnoticed? Don't you think that your prayers don't matter? Don't you think that the things that you pray for and the people that you pray for, that it doesn't matter? Because it matters. Because you know what, Steve? Someone was praying for you. Someone was praying for you. There was somebody who was praying for you to have an encounter with the Almighty God, for you to have a revelation of how much He loved you, for you to see Him in a different perspective so that you could write a book to walk out your destiny, so that you could see that who you are and who you were created to be was always a gem, was always perfection, was always something that God was going to use in His tool belt to change a nation. Don't think that your book is something that is just going to be sitting on somebody's shelf. That book is going to start to change people's lives. That book is going to start to speak to the hearts of men and women who've been so frustrated and so confounded with the way that religion has put God into a box. Do you know what your book does? Do you know what your book does, Steve? Your book gets them out of the friggin' box. That's what your book does. Your book takes people and lets them see the love of a father that they are so afraid to confront. But they are going to see Bob, and through Bob, they're going to see Dad. Written the same way, front, back.
Wow. Wow. You should have wrote the forward to the book.
And you know that I love you.
Oh, I know that. And I love you too.
You.
I've known you for over 40 years, and it's no coincidence that after so many years, we just started getting back together again and doing work with Rob again and all that. I so much appreciate you saying what you're saying. If anyone, if you want to buy the book, go to yourinnerbob.com. That's all I ask. Go to yourinnerbob.com. I will make a promise to you. After you've read the book from cover to cover, you will realize how much power you have over every aspect of your life. It's entertaining. It's funny. It's incredibly profound. And you can get it on Amazon. You can get it through, there's various ways you can order the book. Yourinnerbob.com.
We have them all here for you. We have you all covered, my friend. But I just want you to know that what I said wasn't me. I hope you do realize that.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I get it. I get it. I so get it. And I love you. And this was a very good interview. This was healing for me. And gee, what an incredible experience to know that something special popped up, 15 minutes ago, that
A game changer.
yeah, exactly.
A
So
game changer.
I love you and I so much appreciate you.
I love you too. All right, guys, if you want to go and get Conversations with Bob, this is a great book to give to your non-believing friends, because you can be like, hey, I just got this great book. Come and read it. Let God do the work. He'll show him who he is.
Yes. Thank you so
much. Absolutely. I love you. And I will talk to you in a bit. Hold on. Okay. Woo. Okay. Dang. That was so good. We have so much to celebrate today. You know what? We have so much to celebrate. Do you know that we, a year ago today, a bunch of ladies went to Coleman, Alabama. We did. We went to Coleman, Alabama. Became a family. No one told you life was gonna be this way. The job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's the old way. It's like you're always stuck in second gear. When it hasn't been your day, week, your month, even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too. Happy anniversary to my GGs. I love them so much. I don't know what I would do without them. You're my family. You're my prayer warriors. I am so humbled and blessed to have everybody just come alongside. Thank you, Rebecca, for doing such a beautiful job. But this needed to be celebrated. I'm crying, so you know I'm crying. I'm just leaking. But this is what life is about. This is about making connections and being family and cheering each other on, praying with each other, fighting the good fight, linking arms, encouraging, watching, walking, waiting for God to move in people's lives and believing that he will, because he is faithful. He is faithful. I am so humbled that this came through. That this came through on my broadcast, that we get to celebrate God answering a huge prayer, that Roe v. Wade is overturned. This is something that people couldn't believe. People couldn't even fathom. They said it would never happen. When I would tell people that he was going to, because God told me Trump was going to overturn Roe v. Wade, they said that will never happen. But you know what? I know my Father's voice, and no other do I follow. And so this is not only something that this has been so much because I know what I heard, and I stood by what I heard, and I didn't fall, and I didn't falter, and I knew it was going to come. He is good, and he is faithful. And if anybody ever tells you he's not, they're a liar. He is good, and he is faithful, and we are going to see the goodness of who he is in this land. We will. And if you, ladies, are interested in coming to my next conference, because I'm telling you, we become family at these things. Come to the Woman at the Well. Meet me at the well. Come to meet me at the well. It is a game changer. I don't say that to be boastful. I say that because it's freaking true. I'm not going to apologize about it. I'll tell you that. I'm not going to sit there and say it's, she's just trying to hype her stuff. I'm not trying to hype nothing. I'm telling you that God is with me and he does incredible things. And it's God, it's not Lisa. But God assembles these incredible women to come together. And if you would like to sponsor a woman to go, because there are women who want to come, but they just can't afford it, but they want to come, change a woman's life. Give her a family, because that's what these things are about. This is about giving families and giving and getting families, because most of the GGs, they didn't know. They didn't know that they needed each other until they went to Coleman and they met. And I remember the Lord saying to me, because I felt so bad. I'm like, oh, I really need to go be with them. And the Lord said to me, he goes, no, they need to become a family. I said, okay. And so I let them be. And they did. They became a family. They became sisters, linking arms with each other, praying for each other, crying with each other. God uses the strange, and he uses the confusing to confound the wise, right? He uses those who just kind of confuse people and say, how the heck? But I'm just saying that God said go, and I answered his call. So I give you the same challenge. Come. See if you don't get changed. See if you don't encounter him. He is good. He is good. We have so much to celebrate. Keep our country in prayer, please. Keep our country in prayer. Don't think that your prayers don't matter, because your prayers matter. So keep our country in prayer. Pray for those on the Supreme Court. Pray for those who are celebrating today and weeping today, because today is such a beautiful day. Do you know how many babies and generations are going to live? Do you know how heaven is celebrating today, and how Jesus, who cries when aborted babies came to him, would weep? Do you know that today he is going to rejoice, because they are not going to be? And don't even let people start to tell you, well, they're going to start doing it illegally. Not when they know the truth. Not when they know the truth that a baby and a child is a gift. And you're not just killing a child, you're killing your generations. You're killing your generations. You're killing the destiny and the dreams. And it's not about the people who did it, the doctors who did it. They didn't know, because if they knew, they wouldn't. I'm just saying. So pray for our country. Pray for one another. Thank you guys. This has been so great. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a fantastic weekend. God bless. Be safe. And I will see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.